Hi everyone, it's William with the Grand Duke Dmitri 1921 Diary Series. Kind of a bombshell yesterday. The recap for the 7th April is basically Dmitri picked up a couple of prostitutes. Well, they kind of picked him up at first, but then he agreed to meet with them later that night, and in his own words, he said he had a very good time with them. So yeah, then he came home late at night, not that late, 1:30, and Coco laughed at him in a merry way, it seems. So that's good. Okay, and who do we have for our cast today? No one, just Dmitri and Coco. So here we go. It's the 8th of April, 1921, a Friday, our last full day in Monte Carlo at the Riviera Palace Hotel. It was a good thing that we decided to delay our automobile journey until the next day, because that day was frightfully cold, relatively speaking. A strong wind was blowing, and overall it was remarkably bad and damp. Naturally, I couldn't play golf in the morning. I stayed home and read, then wrote in my diary. We lunched upstairs. Afterwards, we took a drive in a rental car because Coco's Rolls was being put in order for the road ahead. We stopped by the casino around 6 o'clock to try our luck one more time. We dined at home, then went upstairs and went to bed very early. Despite all that, I was very sorry to be leaving Monte Carlo. Life is good there, in addition to which it's always good for me to be in the sun. Okay, so that's a short one. We've done the whole diary entry in less time than sometimes it takes to do the recap. But, you know, it's always interesting to see how Dmitri presents things, what he focuses on, what he leaves out. And today he's kind of leaving a fair amount out. He told us that he was a little drunk the night before, but apparently not drunk enough to have a hangover. The only reason he doesn't go off and play golf is because of the weather. And he doesn't use this expression that he sometimes uses, moral hangover. He doesn't have a physical hangover, and he doesn't have a moral hangover on the basis of what had happened the night before. And also, there doesn't seem to be any problem at all with Coco. They're still warm and happy with each other, as much so as they've ever been. So that's good. No details this time about how things went at the casino. I guess, he probably didn't win a lot or lose a lot. He would probably tell us if that had been the case. And what else? Yeah, we just find out that overall he likes this life. He likes this sort of quiet life. Things have been good for him in Monte Carlo. And of course he likes the sun. And that's always been a thing with Dmitri. The sun is important to him. I mean, I am a native of the Pacific Northwest in the United States, and I grew up just taking it for granted that a large part of the year would be gray skies and rainy, and I still have no problem with that. It doesn't affect my mood or anything like that. And Dmitri, of course, lived in a place that is known for its snow and its harsh winters. But for him, sun was extremely important. He could have maybe, in modern parlance, have had seasonal affective disorder, because he's right. He always does better in the sun, and he may, to a certain extent, mean his health, although maybe not, because his mood was just always so much better in the sun. And I think about things in the past, about in 1918, how much he loved being in Egypt. He just really, it was an interesting country. There was a big European colony there, and the weather, as far as he was concerned, was ideal. I think he was there in the fall, like October, November, if I remember correctly. And then in earlier on, in 1914, he had been having a bad time with both his health and apparently also with his mood. He'd written an apologetic letter to Nicholas saying, I'm sorry that I was lashing out and that things got out of control, and the doctor had sent him to spend some time in the sun in Sicily, in Taormina. And yeah, so that was another instance where he found that being in the sun really benefited him. And then even in Kazvin in 1917, you have the same merger of things. On the one hand, that my physical health is bad, I'm sick. When he was sent to Kazvin, he was sent to the Persian front after the Rasputin assassination, but it really seemed to be more than anything else his mood. And being there in the sun, and the weather was nice. That was end of December and then January, and it wasn't too hot. And he liked being in the sun. His mood improved, and all of the physical symptoms that he was complaining about went by the wayside. And in fact, he wrote to his father, I like it here. Don't push the Tsar to allow me to come back, because I like it here. And for the time being, I think this is the best place for me to be. All right, and then jumping ahead to Schatzalp, he would always stay inside when the weather was bad. So the typical thing for TB patients was that they would specifically go out and wrap up and lie on their balconies, or in the, either a private balcony or a communal covered outdoor area. And that was one of the treatments for the disease, being out in the brisk mountain air during winter weather. But that was something that he was just not willing to do. If it was a day with bad weather, if it was snowing, he stayed in his room. He stayed in bed in his room instead of going out for the Liege Kur, the outdoor rest cure. So, that's a little bit of filler, I guess, because this was such a short diary entry. So what do we have for next time? Well, we are leaving Monte Carlo. So the slogan will be Onward to Marseille. And Dmitri will drive, and on this drive to Marseille, he and Coco will be passing through several towns, and he'll record all of that. And then they arrive in Marseille at about 6:30 in the evening. And this is, we're going into quite an interesting phase in the diary entries. They have a Michelin guide, and they're just doing a absolutely traditional road trip. And in tomorrow's diary entry for my teaser, I will just say that Coco will have a very difficult moment. Nothing to do with Dmitri, with something else from her past that comes up. So if you're interested in Coco, then you'll definitely want to come back for that. Now, as for the thumbnail today, as I'm recording this, I have no idea what I'm going to use for a thumbnail. There's no sort of hook that I can tie into the photos I have or photos I can try to obtain. So I think maybe I'll just choose some random picture of Dmitri that's not specifically related to this day in April 1921, maybe even one of him as a child, or at another time in his life than at age 29. But So anyway, if there seems to be a lack of connection between what you saw as the thumbnail and what you are hearing about in this diary entry, then you know why. And, I thought about this one being so short and so uneventful. I did think about doing two diary entries, but the one of the 9th of April for the trip to Marseille is long and eventful. And so I decided that wouldn't be a good idea. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.